Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst
Outtakes.
ever.
By the way, Brice, you told us after the show last week that Tom Selleck was actually the star of the show you work on, Blue Bloods, was actually talking to you about Teddy Roosevelt.
About worst episode ever?
About worst episode.
Tom Selleck,
He's a big fan.
We're going to put that down.
He is a huge fan of the classic era Simpsons. Actually, I did talk to Tom Selleck about Teddy Roosevelt, who is actually a big fan of Teddy Roosevelt.
That's a weird
which was
little...
a very bizarre thing that I was like, I came in and you were like, we're going to watch an episode about Teddy Roosevelt. And I was like, and we're gonna say, like, what show you work on? And I was like, this is so weird. I just talked to a TV star.
It's the zeitgeist. There's Teddy Roosevelt in the air.
Well, Tom Selleck, he's famously got the mustache.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt had a mustache.
I said Teddy Roosevelt has a mustache.
No, he's dead.
It's probably long decomposed.
Yes.
Just
Maybe.
Sorry, that's how the world works.
According to Bart's imagination, it is definitely not, and Teddy Roosevelt is still alive eating people's skulls. It felt like a joke that somebody had written that they wanted to put into a show, and they put it in at the head of a show, and it didn't have anything to do with what was going to happen. And
Much
so
like a Tom Selleck anecdote.
Exactly. much like a random tangent onto me talking with a celebrity.
So it starts off, and it's not just Jimmy Carter now, it's also the Bush and Clinton.
Bush and Clinton, yeah.
And they do a Three Stooges. What do you guys think about that Three Stooges thing?
I thought it was a funny idea that went on too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In keeping with...
I thought it was a decent idea. It was fine the first time.
Yeah.
I wasn't offended by it. I chuckled, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there are three presidents that the show loves to take shots at. It wasn't really biting political commentary. It was just, isn't it funny if these three former world leaders are the Three Stooges?
Yeah.
And I thought even their hair was like the Three Stooges.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was fitting. They did it nice. They made it look right. They chose the right presidents.
It was done. If you're going to do ex-presidents as Three Stooges, it worked. It did kind of stand out as just like a kind of weird tangent. Wait, is that something I was trying to think? Is that something they would do in the '90s episodes? Do they have weird little parodies like that?
Yeah, I could see them doing something like that.
I mean,
there were tons of Jimmy Carter jokes all the time. He's history's greatest monster. You got to take him down a bit.
I love the Jimmy Carter jokes.
Yeah.
All right, so we didn't like it. We didn't love it. We didn't hate it. So he paints that. You find out he's missing his wedding ring. He has a Band-Aid on wrapped in tinfoil. I like that his excuse was that it's inside of a turtle.
Yeah, and there's no payoff at all.
Which is great.
It was a nice.
Yeah, that was great.
It was a great non sequitur. I feel it ends up playing a little bit into the next part of the plot. So I was kind of like, well, if it makes it less of a non sequitur, maybe they should. If the whole story hinges on him not having his ring on at the moment, maybe they should actually come up with a way. But I think I'm overthinking it. I think it still works.
I think it just works because Homer is a well-meaning dope. Yeah. Like, he lost his wedding ring, but he made this terrible replacement. That's a very Homer thing.
I like the story that is unsaid. Like, our imaginations say, how the hell did this ring get in this turtle? What were the circumstances? It's better to not see it.
It's better to not see it, I agree.
And they made a joke out of a plot point. They needed to get Homer's ring off. And instead of just having him take his ring off, they turned it into a quick joke. And that's, if you're going to write a comedy, you need to have jokes, and it was a good way to stick a joke in while you're getting the next
the plot in
moving
motion.
the plot moving the plot forward.
Okay, so what's the very next scene then? Her being insecure in bed with Homer?
Yeah,
I first just want to point out that they cut back to the presidents doing a Three Stooges thing, and it was Bush sawing off Clinton's head, and I was just like, wow.
Saws on his head, and then he hits him with the head.
That's Three Stooges, though. Don't they do that?
They saw each other's heads?
I think they do, yeah.
I'm not a big Three Stooges guy.
I would buy that they... I mean...
It just seemed like a lot.
When he first starts doing it, I was like, oh my God, is he going to actually cut his head off?
That would have been insane. That would have been season 26.
I think that's a direct...
And then the next scene, Bill Clinton walks in the background.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a direct Three Stooges thing. So whatever.
So she gets into the plastic surgeon's office. He looks really familiar. He's been in episodes before, right?
I don't know if he has specifically, or if that's just Hank Azaria's generic suave Latino guy voice, or
There's like a specific episode that I cannot.
I was surprised it
picture
wasn't
which one it
Dr.
was.
Nick, but then I was like, you know what, this is a different kind of sleaze, a plastic
Well,
surgeon.
yeah, he's like a sleazy plastic surgeon, which is a good, take that down a peg.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
sleazy
Again,
plastic
there's
surgeons.
good plastic surgeons out there, but there's way too many bad ones, so fuck them. Let's just take them down a notch.
Yeah.
Well, so she comes in. She says she wants liposuction to be attractive enough for this man.
Yeah.
And the one
they
says
say
a
like
10-minute suck and tuck. Shouldn't she be like, I thought the joke was going to be like, that man is fat and disgusting, you look
Right.
great.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you want him to get liposuction?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. That should have been
Right.
the joke.
and even then, like, it just felt. And then she like puts the tag on the
like the short
check
order
on the
of the
short order
cook. Yep.
thing, and it was like I just was like, this is all. Just
Well, that's a mixed message, because
bland.
now is it saying a plastic surgeon is like a diner where they're treating the women like meat, and like if it had a little bite to it, it'd be like, see, they're treating women like meat. This is terrible. But it was more
Right,
like
but
they're
that's-
treating women like meat, just like it should be.
But it's because that treating women like meat is kind of what the episode's about.
Yeah.
So they can't.
So
they're speaking out
that
of both
could have
sides of their
that could
mouth.
have worked if it was doing a message that we hoped it did, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, it was also just sort of like, oh, it works like a diner in here. We just throw the check and yell
Right,
the
'cause
thing,
you're
and I
in-
was
you're
like,
in and you're out,
Yeah.
and like
There
people
wasn't-
I was
get
like,
coming
all
back.
right, yeah.
I don't think the treating women
Yeah,
like
there
meat
wasn't
was
much
even
there.
popped in their minds.
Yeah.
I think
No,
we're
no.
overlooking it.
So
overthinking it.
then she goes in. She's
Yeah,
on the
she
table.
goes in. I did
Oh.
like. Yeah.
And that's funny that I just did like Joan Rivers, but that's what I wanted to mention.
yes.
That
I
Joan
did write
Rivers,
that down.
Joan Rivers was also in the office.
In the
Oh,
background.
I totally missed
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
in the
she's
background.
right in the background,
She had a
right
big
next to Marge.
smile.
Big shoes.
So just a quick
Joan
R.I.P. to
Rivers,
Joan
rest in
Rivers,
peace.
since we're
Yep.
doing Jen Hooks, and I get another comment on plastic surgery there that she was
Yep.
in the office.
Yeah.
I'll tie it in. Joan Rivers actually is, if you're gonna look up thoughts on why plastic surgery is a good thing. Joan Rivers obviously got a lot of plastic surgery, though it might have killed her. But she,
It's for the courts to decide.
but
Jack.
her reasoning for plastic surgery was always like a good a good argument for pro women getting plastic surgery. She always like about her image and her
It was to
confidence.
make herself feel
yeah,
better,
exactly.
not-
So
and not feel better because she looks better to men.
so I'm
just
assuming,
feeling good internally.
I'm assuming all our fans like to do their researching and check out all the sources we list at the end of the episode.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
check out that one.
I'd rather just have listened to Joan Rivers talk about plastic surgery for about 20 minutes.
Then watch Large Marge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So she's in. She's on
Yeah.
the table.
I did like that right before the gas hits her,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, wait a minute, could I do exercise and diet to help me? And then it goes out. That was a little bit
Yeah.
like an actual bite to it.
Yeah.
Trying to say something.
Yeah. So she wakes up.
But then, yeah, she wakes up.
Quimby
and
is like. Quimby's
Yeah.
like, oh no, doctor, what have you done?
my assistant is flat as a board.
Yeah,
Yeah, Flatsville.
yeah. That was. Oh,
That's
God.
that. Well, that's in
It's just-
keeping with
Yeah,
Quimby. I mean, that's
No,
like a-
not Quimby. The Flatsville. I was like,
Oh yeah.
ugh.
That didn't need to be
Yeah,
there.
just like look how awful it is. This woman has no breasts.
Right.
Small
But
breasts.
just even the
Well,
the
she
wording.
didn't even have no breasts. If you look at the animation there, like she's got a clearly defined bust, and it wasn't like small. It wasn't
mean,
like they drew her like a man's chest.
It's fine for it's in keeping with Quimby.
It's in keeping with Quimby, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
embezzling taxpayer money to buy for
Yeah.
an assistant that he's cheating with.
Right.
Right.
To get breast implants. It was just the Flatsville comment. I was like, ugh, like I
Yeah.
get it. We don't like this doctor and he's weird, but it's also like a dumb thing to say.
Right. So
Yeah.
so we've gotten to this point where now she accidentally has breasts. All the lead up to this is terrible. I do think that the fact that you can't just have another massive surgery right away to take them out. So I think that was a good way of explaining why she has to keep the breast for a couple
Was it?
days.
But they
Because
should have just
don't really explain it. It's
Yeah,
just
he
like,
should have said, like-
give me 48 hours. That's it.
yeah.
well,
I
I
will
mean,
come back
48
in
hours.
48
I
hours.
assumed because it is such a hard surgery.
Well, but then they wouldn't have had. They treat the surgery as if it's like as most
Right. It's
as
the short order thing where like people are in and out.
Yeah,
like,
they
how
treat
come
it the
this 2
way
days
TV
later?
shows treat tattoos. Is when you in a TV show when you get a
Yeah.
tattoo, you come from the tattoo parlor and you're like, "Hey, everybody, check out my new tattoo!"
Right, and it looks
And-
perfect.
and it's like done. And if you've ever gotten a tattoo or know anybody who has gotten a tattoo,
Yeah.
and you see a recent tattoo, it's always got lotion on it and it's wrapped in Saran wrap
Right.
for like some period of time. I don't remember.
it's like 6 hours.
We
They
actually
take
know
the-
someone who got a tattoo instead of going to the movies one time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He thought it would be an in and out quick thing.
But the issue wasn't that he went got a tattoo instead of in the movies. He just didn't tell us, and we were waiting for like 2 hours waiting for it.
Right.
But we're probably gonna cut that. But that's like saying, I'm trying to think of a horrible. This is a horrible metaphor. I'm the king of the horrible metaphors.
Do it.
It would just be like, hey, you know what would make this fart smell a little bit better is if we turn the fan on. I got that.
Well,
That was
you were
great.
right. You were the king of the horrible metaphor. Worst Jack ever will not go.
So-
It's just like,
so when
my
you guys
point is
start-
don't fart.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well-
when you guys produce merchandise, that's going to be that your first, like,
That'll
you know
be
what
the
would make
first
this fart smell better?
You know what make this shirt better? A fart. We're gonna
A
sell that
fan.
shirt.
You know what would make this
Three felt
podcast better?
shirt- three
A
felt-
fan.
3 felt shirts. They said fart. You never did that brain twister?
No, I don't know what
They
the hell
felt
you're
smart.
doing.
Yeah. Three smart men. They felt
I
smart.
slid a sheet I slid, and on that nope, I
No.
fucked it up already.
All right. And that cuts to Skinner and Agnes.
And she says it's as cold as my love for you. That was dark.
Yeah, it's harsh.
That was good
been,
though.
I mean, the same as when he
Yeah.
gets out of the car and like curls up into a ball in. Did you guys watch that episode, or was that?
I don't know.
There's an episode of there's another one the later seasons where
Skinner?
yeah. Skinner's mom is like yelling at him. And he like steps out of the car. He's like, "Excuse me for a second." He steps out of the car and then he like lays down on the pavement and starts just like shaking and crying.
Oof.
Yeah, I've never
And
seen
you're
Sounds
like,
terrible.
whoa,
Okay.
They've gotten seriously like much harsher. About
Agnes
that.
hates Skinner.
Yeah, so then she becomes a model and she likes what she's doing there. And then there was a weird scene where Homer brings Marge to Moe's.
Which was bizarre.
It didn't add anything
If you
at
had
all.
lifted that out,
Yeah,
no one
no-
would ever have known there wasn't a really good joke.
There was no
It didn't-
story reason
It didn't
for that
move
to
the
happen.
plot along.
Yeah.
It didn't progress the plot. It wasn't particularly funny. It just didn't do anything.
The
It had-
only thing that was good was Carl said, "This is the longest I've ever gone without looking at Lenny."
Yes, I wrote that down. That was good.
But also it was because he was admiring Marge's rack, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of undercuts the goodness of the
I
joke.
feel like, man, if they needed extraneous scene that's completely unnecessary, it's usually a Moe scene. Like
Well,
2
yeah.
weeks ago.
Or
in
Mr. Burns washing a
Manatee.
manatee.
It felt, it felt like a pad to the show, which is
Ah, nice
already which is already like padded out. Like
Yeah.
it
Hey,
already
nice
felt like
pun.
it already felt too short.
It seems like
It felt like a short show.
it seems like okay. We don't know what happens in the writers' room, but it seems like they come up with
Just
this
told you, they
concept.
point at the poster.
All right, we know one thing that happens in the writers' room, but it seems like they came up with this concept. Marge gets breast implants, and then there wasn't enough stuff to fill the episode. Like if the episode's a bucket, they didn't have enough to fill it, so they had to add like
Like if the episode were a
scene.
breast,
Yeah,
like
if
a
the
breast
episode was a
implant,
breast,
they didn't have enough
a-
silicone.
They didn't
so-
have a nipple.
they ordered a C cup, but they only had a B cup's worth of plot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
that
that
could be
was a
the
good metaphor.
only. That'll be the title. Only a
was
B
better
cup's
than your
worth of
fart
plot.
So they recreated on
yeah.
the school.
Yeah,
they tied Millhouse to the merry-go-round. What is that ride called? I debate this. With a lot of
I think it's
people.
called a roundabout.
Is that it?
I thought it was.
thought that was a
Roundabout,
British
merry-go-round,
drive
carousel.
But see, I think of a merry-go-round
It is a
or
British
carousel
drive thing,
is
too,
the
but-
thing with the horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not powered on its own.
Right.
Did
It's
you
not
guys talk about
motorized
this in a
carousel.
previous podcast? I
feel like we did,
I feel
actually.
like I feel like this is because I feel like I listened and I
Because
can't remember what
it
you
was
both
on-
said, but
no,
I
it
said
was on
something
the-
different.
It was on the Treehouse of
listened.
Horror one.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
they used it in that too.
I think it's a merry-go-round.
See, when you say merry-go-round, I picture the spinning thing with
That's
horses
carousel.
music. I guess
Yeah,
I should.
I
use
use
both.
the same. I use the
Okay.
same.
I
for
use
both.
them interchangeably.
But it's the same thing. It's like a
non-motorized
playground
version of that.
Yeah, it's
You
a
have to,
playground
like,
version.
drag it.
So they spin Millhouse on this. I'm not going to call it merry-go-round. I don't care.
There was another one now I can't remember.
There was Dredrick Tatum was like hawking an ugly shoe, and
Yeah,
I didn't like that.
classic
at all. It was
Jordan
just-
joke. I mean, it was a joke about Jordan's overpriced ugly
it was
shoes,
just-
but whatever.
Just a,
Well, she's afraid
okay.
that they're gonna hit. She says, "Don't shoot you. My husband, my son, and the Van Houten boy are in there. Like
Right.
you might hit them." And they go, "Sorry, ma'am, we don't negotiate with elephants." Because that's because you know what the thing is.
wordplay.
Most people say that they don't negotiate with terrorists.
Right.
So,
Oh, so they replaced elephants with.
so John
and they
so, yeah.
sort of sound similar.
Jack, can I have a word?
Yes.
Meringue.
That's what I was waiting for.
I got it.
Sorry.
It's from our show.
Yeah. No.
And
sorry.
from The Simpsons. We can
Super
cut this.
meta. Yeah, just cut it all.
I don't
That's-
listen to our show. I only listen to Worst Jack Ever.
Worst episode ever.